9 wasteful habits. 9 that can destroy your finances. Destroy your finances. As I wrote Killing Sacred Cows, I talked about the myths that could destroy your finances, so a little similar on that side. This says, with the high cost of living and economic uncertainty in the world, there's no better time. Why is it always there's no better? It's just always a good time to kind of get your finances in order. But yeah, that's what it says. It says particularly your spending habits, which probably means, guess what? You got a budget is what's going to say. And look, if you're a train wreck and you're spending more than you make, budgeting's probably a good idea. But for everybody else, there's a better way through mindful cash management and value-based spending that could be very helpful. So this might not be the most exciting or fun thing you've ever done. No, but it's vital to ensure that you don't ruin your financial stability or well-being. Ruin, wasteful, pretty harsh words we're starting out. It says, it's a common concern that people have when it comes to their finances. Even if you have a monthly household budget or an emergency savings fund, I don't like emergency savings fund and I don't like household budget. I like mindful cash management and peace of mind fund. I want a different mindset, one about prosperity and productivity and enjoyment along the way. It says you might not immediately find the solution. You could be wasting money and never know why or how. But if you cut down on excess spending, like who determines if it's excess, right? And get your finances back on track. You determine whether they're back on track. You need to know which habits are causing the most financial strain. There's some of the most wasteful financial habits you might have that could be a significant negative impact. It says paying for unnecessary insurance policies. All right, there are definitely some unnecessary insurance policies. Like there's a lot of accidental death and dismemberment, which only pays the death benefit if it's an accident or there's there's a lot of supplemental policies that are that are only good if it's like, all right, maybe you have too high of a deductible with your medical plan and it's a necessity, but a lot of those, like a lot of these plans that Aflac have such a low payout versus the premiums that come in. I want you to ask, is it catastrophic? Is it something that actually, if it occurs, would devastate you or you don't have the cash for? Otherwise, don't insure it. Only insure the catastrophic. Higher deductibles, wait longer for things to kick in. Says you might already know you're paying too much for insurance, and that's something you might be able to negotiate with your insurance provider, but many people pay for insurance they don't even need or use. It's not only wasteful, but it can hurt your overall finances. This says one issue I see is people spending too much on insurance that they don't need, said Malcolm, the head of investment, blah, 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 at CBS. It was okay, whatever. It is smart to be protected, but some policies cover things you may not use. The extra cash can be used elsewhere. I tell people to think carefully about what they acquire. If you have multiple types of insurance, evaluate them and cancel policies you don't need. For example, you don't have a children's life insurance or identity theft insurance. These could be useful, but only in select cases. And what about rental car insurance or collision insurance? The former is redundant if you already have auto policy that covers the rentals, right? Mine does. The latter could be, extra. And I don't buy travel insurance when I book flights. So I did a video on the 9 most wasteful insurances. So you can watch that video if you want to figure out which ones aren't really that useful. All right, relying on debt to fund your lifestyle. Agree with this. Don't borrow money to consume. It's no surprise that debt can lead to some serious financial difficulties, they say, but some people commonly rely on it to fund their lifestyle choices. This can be especially problematic if the debt starts racing up and you're not able to pay off the balance every month. For most people in the U.S., relying on debt is probably the most wasteful habit. I mean, in my book, What Would the Rockefellers Do? We do this whole segment where it's like, hey, guess what? Just paying tax and interest accounts for like half of people's wealth. They could have twice as much if they could, minimize the taxes and only pay what's legally required. Most people tip the government, and if they don't have to pay for all this interest. So, credit card rates have been over 20%, this article says, and, paying that off could really save you. So definitely. Rewarding your children out of guilt is a bad habit they're talking about, taking your kids on extravagant vacations or outings, they can add up. It says if you're not careful, these, habits could create financial hardship later. So, if it's out of guilt, then, I've seen like the divorce Christmases where they're like 10 times more than if the parents stayed together because now there's that feeling of guilt. So yeah, you don't buy into love. You invest and you express and you show up. So, I'm married, so I can't really speak to that, but I just seen that phenomenon many times. So, yeah, this would be a destructive habit. Relying on the power of refinancing. Yeah, if you have to refinance too often, there's always the pain of refinancing and the expense of refinancing. So a lot of times people refinance and they pull the money back in to that refinance with other loans so that it kind of lowers their payments. Like doing that I've done that before, and that's helpful one time, right, for sure. But if you start relying on it because you keep spending more and more, that's a problem. So it says it's not necessarily a bad thing in this article, but it could be detrimental if you consider the true cost of doing so. Sometimes refinancing takes like 12 months or 13 months or longer to recover all the costs that go into the loan origination fees and the underwriting fees and the title fees and all that kind of stuff that can happen during a refinance. So even if you can get a lower interest rate, you got to really look at what all those other fees are going to be. Paying too much for your car is another thing. Yeah, I'm in a situation in life that's different than when I started, but like I only want to pay cash for my vehicles. And if I can't pay cash, it's probably a vehicle that I can't afford, you know? So a luxury vehicle may seem like a good idea. Like I once bought a Bentley and I took douchey pictures of me in my Bentley out at the salt flats and people made fun of me, deservedly so, as I posted them. But I didn't really want that. It was just my partner saying, "Oh, dude, you got to attract higher end clients. We got to look the part." Well, like a lot of people fake it till they make it, and I call it a financial pick because you got to be a dick to post a picture of a rented vehicle in an Airbnb that's not even your own to try to get business, right? So some people are car people. That's what they love. Great. Go all in on the things that you love, but don't go and spend money on a bunch of things because it's pressures or you want to keep up or just because of the status part of it. So, yeah, paying too much for a car, that could be something. In this article, it says, consider this. For a 30-year-old consumer, every $15,000 of additional car loan could cost your future retired self $250,000. They're just saying compounding interest and saving it. But great, what if you never have a car that you enjoy and then you finally retire and you die early? So there's another argument to that. But it says one way to fix it is to keep your car payment low or to buy a vehicle in cash. We talked about paying for it in cash. And says in the article, if you can't pay cash for a car, I recommend following my 23-8 car rule. You should put 20% down, you should be able to pay it off in 3 years or less, and your car payment should be no more than 8% of your income. All right, so there's just like a little suggestion there. It says the next thing, paying only the minimum due. They're talking specifically about credit cards, right? So yeah, credit cards, if you can use them and pay them off, they could be a great tool. It can help you to earn points. It can help you to build credit. But if you're borrowing more than 30% and can't pay it off, that kind of utilization rate can harm your credit score and make you pay higher interest rates in other places. So the majority of people aren't actually paying off their credit cards every month, and that just ends up being so much money over time. And so I agree with them. Shopping impulsively. Most people indulge in a splurge here and there, but the problem is when they start compulsively impulse buying. It's essentially when you purchase something you neither needed nor necessarily wanted. And I like, this is me, not the article. Like the retail's so good at this. Like, here's a sell, and people buy things they don't even want. My co-author of I Am Money and I Don't Grow on Trees, Julia, her mom bought all these like rubber boots because they were on sale for $1 long ago, and then they didn't even fit any of the kids. They were just a good deal. So if we buy things that we don't even want or need because it's a good deal, we become manipulated mentally, and then we part with our money, and we didn't really save money, we spent money. We didn't end up with more money in our bank account. So what do you really value? Like, really set up what I call a living wealthy account. Start taking a certain percentage of your income and set it aside. And then that's money for the things you value most, value-based spending. Go all in on those things, but pay cash for them and plan for them and have the money there. So those things that other people might judge you on, maybe you like to spend more on clothes or on food or on travel, like whatever it is, have it in an account that if you paid yourself first, take some extra money and enjoy life along the way. And that'll help you kind of with this effect of the shopping impulsively and the issue. It says, neglecting your financial education. In this article, it says if you've been neglecting your financial education, you could be hurting yourself financially and not even know, obviously. A lack of financial literacy is a silent budget killer. Well, like financial literacy and budgeting, like I hope that we have more than just budgeting as financial literacy. How can you learn how to make more money, invest money, discover your investor DNA so you know what to invest in, what not to invest in, how to mitigate and protect the downside and start to be good at managing risk, how to, say no to certain investments and do due diligence, how to be more efficient with your money and plug financial leaks so there's less going to the financial institutions and more into your pocket, how to earn interest rather than just pay interest. Like there's so many things here that are part of financial literacy, especially understanding money, your relationship to money. What does money mean to you? How do you use it and abuse it? What do you think about money? And do you have any like subconscious beliefs that are harmful when it comes to that? Do you have any feelings of guilt or anything? Like there's so much more than just thinking about budgeting, right? That's the deal. I don't want it to just be about budgeting. They're talking about taxes. Yes, that could be a great investment, understanding how to be much better about saving tax. He says this ignorance can lead to poor financial decisions such as high fee investments or tax inefficiencies. Yeah, look, Edward Jones has been preying on Americans forever by selling them American funds, which are some of the highest fee funds in the world, and the performance doesn't make up for the high fees. That's because they go to rural communities where people aren't as financially savvy to take advantage of that. And even really savvy business owners are overpaying on their taxes. So yes, financial literacy is more than budgeting. It's mindful cash management, investing in yourself, becoming a better investor, mitigating and managing risk, becoming more efficient with your money, and learning how to save it. So like not just by setting money aside and budgeting, but by being by taking inefficient things like loan interest or fees and investments that don't perform, or insurance coverages that don't need to exist, like we began this article with, and putting that back in your money. It says not knowing where your money is going. It says, you don't have to budget every nickel and dime, but understand the flows of your money. Automate that savings. This is me speaking, not them. And if you could do that and automate the savings and live off the rest, that will change your life. But here's the deal. More than just saving, it's about investing in you. It's about increasing your ability to earn more money, add more value, serve more people, solve bigger problems, learn to be a better investor. Stop hoping that someone's going to come and save you and they got some magic product. There is no magic product. It doesn't exist. If it did, everybody would own it. And the more we believe that we don't have the capacity or the knowledge or the time, and we hand our money over to someone that may not really be doing anything and then handing the money over to someone else, then what happens is we take unnecessary risk. And sometimes we're just better off paying off loans. And sometimes we're better off just saving money into cash value insurance that we know is going to be there, that we could tap into in the future. But other people shouldn't do that because they're not funding it properly. They don't take the time to learn about it. You've got to treat yourself as your greatest asset and invest in yourself. Increase your financial literacy so you know what to avoid and what you're going to go full in on. Know what your plan is and get the resources at garrettgunderson.com/rich life. garrettgunderson.com/rich life. They're on me. I send a weekly newsletter. If you opt into this thing, you can opt out anytime, but you can get these guides for financial health assessment. You can look in the show notes and get your quick tip guides and put 8 tips of putting more money in your pocket. These are the resources that are going to help you out. So this article actually had some pretty good things. Some of the advice was okay. It wasn't like really meaty and giving you full understanding, but yeah, getting rid of stupid insurances, not overspending and paying too much for your car, or not having to refinance all the time just to make it. These were good ideas, but the reality is it's not just about a budget. Budgeting sucks. It's not going to get you to prosperity. It's only going to get you on track, but then it can remove you from full exponential growth from there because it's all about what you reduce versus what you produce. Think about serving others, solving problems, and adding value. Now, if this is helpful for you and you want to dive in deeper to any one of these topics, check out my other videos, get some of the guides, and I'm glad that you stopped by. Hey, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're enjoying these videos, well, there's good news. More where that came from. So go ahead and click through and watch the next video now.